WYMT Mountain News at 6.
A small sigh of relief this morning, but tonight the future of eastern Kentucky miners with Black Jewel remain in limbo. Shortly after some of them jumped on a bus to head to West Virginia, a foundation announced thousands of dollars to help them dig out of debt. But right now in Charleston, West Virginia, a judge and lawyers are still trying to figure out what to do with Black Jewel mines. It is hour 8 of debate now, and that's where we begin tonight with WYMT's Connor James Live. Connor?
Yeah, Steve, we're heard this hearing could go well into the night. It could possibly even go into tomorrow because there's been a disagreement about one of the bids, one of the lots there. There's quite a bit of information we've been sorting through, but here's what we do know. Here are the bids that have been sold here in the East. Now, let me just mention, because they have been approved in the court to sell, they still need review and proper documentation. We've been saying this before. Coking Coal LLC got the Party mine. That mine is in Wise County, Virginia. Ty Fort Coal Company will get the Elm 6 mine. Mark Energy LLC got the Elm 8 mine, and the Dean McAfee lenders and John Deere purchases, like we've said, have also gone through. But the big question is what will happen to the Lone Mountain and Black Mountain mines? Copper Glow initially won that bid, but there's currently a disagreement between Caterpillar and Copper Glow over equipment on some of those sites. That could, if not resolved, really negate the deal. So nearly 40 miners and their families did come up and watch all this unfold, to kind of watch their futures being determined in front of them. And those in the courtroom frequently talked about the protests that are happening down in Cumberland. And miners, they recently just left and say they still really don't have answers.
But just get everything that we're owed, you know, because they done us pretty dirty. It's been about 2 months since we had a payday. You know, we worked all them hours and we deserve to pay for it. We're not going away, you know, till something's right. You know, we don't know the law, but we know right and wrong. And that's what we want. That's right.
Now, Steve, as we're speaking, Quest Energy is actually opposing Copper Glow's bid right now. They say they placed a bid and they actually offered $500,000 that would go to those miners. That's something Copper Glow's bid doesn't have. Obviously, a lot of developments, and we really don't know how long this will go on into, but we'll continue to update that on our website and on air. Steve?
All right, Connor, thank you. Now, this morning, the Department of Labor filed a proposed order to halt any and all of Black Jewel's coal from leaving Harlan County. Testimony was heard during today's hearing. However, the judge delayed a ruling until a later date, which is not set. Lawyers for Black Jewel said the coal had already been sold prior to filing for bankruptcy. Well, many Black Jewel miners did get some great news today. The Gilliam Foundation announced a large gift to local miners. Those on the immediate needs database will receive $2,000 each. WYMT's Emily Bennett is live in Cumberland with reaction. Emily?
Steve, while the miners are still waiting for answers from the court hearing in Charleston, their spirits are high after the Gilliam Foundation announced a gift of over $700,000. An unexpected gift.
$2,000 per miner is certainly going to go a long way in helping these people get back up on their feet.
Harlan County Judge Executive Dan Mosley says he got emotional when he received word about the donation.
He wanted to do something that would be meaningful to them, and he knew what they were going through, and he felt terrible about what they were going through, and he wanted to step up and do something that would help them out in this difficult time.
Ross Keegan, an advisor for the Gilliam Foundation, says Richard Gilliam wanted to make sure the miners knew they were appreciated.
He chose an amount, a significant amount. He chose $2,000 per family, even though we'd identified over 500 families. So in total, between the Harlan County gift, the Letcher County gift, and the Virginia gift, it totals over $1 million.
Leaving some miners overwhelmed.
It is greatly appreciated what they've done, and we don't know how to repay them. I mean, we would love to know how we could do it.
This money will help get them out of debt.
The bills that have backed up, it's going to catch me back up. At least be close anyway, and I can speak, pretty much for the other miners. It's going to be the same for them. It's going to help them out amazingly.
A gift they never saw coming. Now the miners are hopeful that the end is in sight. They tell me they just want to go home. They want to sleep in their own beds knowing that they got what they're owed. Live in Harlan County, Emily Bennett, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, Emily, thank you. Now, this is not the first time the Gilliams have helped Harlan County. When Richard Gilliam sold his mines in 2010, he actually gave his roughly 1,200 employees $80 million. That was broken up in bonuses and 401k contributions. Harvest Worship Center in Harlan has accepted donations for black jewel miners from other churches, including some from other states. They are giving out those funds tonight beginning at 7 o'clock at the Harvest Worship Center's Family Life Center. This is for any black jewel miner that brings their last pay stub and a valid ID, not just those from Harlan County. Some of the funds will be distributed in Bell County as well, but for miners only living there, and that begins at 7 p.m. at Our Father's House in Pineville. We'll have much more on this tonight at 11. Today, Governor Bevin announced more than $15 million in excess coal severance tax revenue will be allocated to cities and counties that qualify through a revenue sharing program. 49 counties and 122 cities will all share that money. We have a list of those on WYMT.com. Local governments can use those funds in a variety of ways, including for public safety, environmental protection, health, social services, public transportation, and workforce training.
And it's just been a beautiful Monday here in the mountains, finally seeing the sunshine and those calm conditions. As we look over into the Mountain Parkway, over into Slade, you'll notice plenty of sunshine over there, and even looking outside the front porch here at WYMT, a few of those big puffy clouds here and there, but overall mostly sunny skies. It's just been a gorgeous day across the mountains. Satellite and radar really shows much of the same story. Maybe a pop-up way to the north along I-64, but most of us definitely on that drier side for today. Check out those temperatures though. You'll notice those mid to upper 80s, but those dew points, those are into about the lower 60s, even some spots to the upper 50s. Looking over to Somerset and Wise, actually feeling a little bit comfortable out there. Usually we're in the upper 60s to lower 70s, so it's a little bit more on the muggy side. So overall it's looking pretty good, but as we take it hour by hour, we're going to continue to see those just calm conditions throughout the overnight hours, but that does look to change as we head into really this time tomorrow. So I'll have a look at that full forecast coming up in just a few short minutes. Steve.
All right, Paige, thank you. 31 people have now died after the shootings in El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio. Investigators in El Paso are focusing on whether the shooting there was a hate crime. In Ohio, a 24-year-old gunman killed 9 people outside a bar in about 30 seconds. These mass shootings bring up bad memories for one survivor of the Heath High School shooting in western Kentucky. Hillary Thornton talked to a survivor.
At this point in my life, it's not surprising anymore. I feel like, to me, I just expect it.
Brittany Thomas is talking about mass shootings, something she says are all too common and something she's all too familiar with.
I was a survivor of the Heath High School shooting.
More than 2 decades ago, that shooting here in Kentucky, killing 3 teenagers and injuring 5, including Thomas's good friend Nicole Hadley. Saturday, she would have celebrated her 36th birthday.
It was already kind of a hard day, just remembering her and what could have been.
Thomas obviously devastated, watching as the number of people impacted would grow significantly in just one weekend.
It's like looking at yourself 21 years ago and realizing that somebody else now has this same journey.
It is a club Thomas says no one wants to be a part of, but is one that is growing.
It used to be a rarity that you would meet someone who had survived a mass shooting.
She says each time these tragedies play out, it takes them all back to the trauma they experienced firsthand.
It's not just a mental health issue, it's not just a gun issue, it's an issue at multiple levels, but I think we have people in positions of power who, if they would come from the left and come from the right and meet at the table, we could come up with some solutions. Each time another shooting happens, I lose a little bit more hope that until it actually touches them personally, we're going to keep seeing this happen.
Hillary Thornton, WYMT Mountain News.
Tonight, Nora O'Donnell will lead CBS's team coverage of the shootings in Texas from El Paso. We are learning more about the victims there and the victims in Dayton, Ohio, and how the FBI is stepping up to try and identify future threats. We now know the name of a man who died following a crash in Rockcastle County. State police say 49-year-old Eric Calhoun died in that crash. It happened around 10 o'clock last night at the 68-mile marker on Interstate 75. Troopers say a driver was unable to stop her vehicle as traffic slowed down ahead, causing a chain reaction of collisions. Calhoun, who's from Middletown, Ohio, was a passenger in one of the vehicles. A Clay County grand jury indicted a man for murder today. Alfred Francis pleaded not guilty, bonded out of jail, and was placed on home incarceration. Francis is now scheduled for another hearing on November 4th. Police say he drove under the influence in April and slammed into J.D. Hacker's car earlier this year. Hacker later died. State troopers say Francis admitted to doing drugs prior to driving. Another setback for the father of Secretary of State Allison Lundergan Grimes. The Herald-Leader reports a judge ruled prosecutors can argue Jerry Lundergan broke campaign laws in 2 of his daughter's state campaigns. Lundergan is not charged in connection with Grimes' state races, but he is scheduled to go on trial this week for allegedly making illegal contributions to Grimes' 2014 Senate campaign. That was against U.S. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. He was known for playing the piano and going to church, but mainly for cutting hair for decades. A longtime Floyd County barber, 85-year-old Gary Wright, died Friday after some health complications. WYMT's Marianne Fletcher talked to community members feeling the loss.
A barber shop known for loud conversations and the buzz of clippers.
He obviously was a popular barber.
But now Wright's barbershop is quiet.
They lost a very, very compassionate person.
An empty chair where Gary Wright cut hair for 59 years.
When he would meet someone, he just didn't want to speak to them. He wanted to know about them.
Mike Campbell has known Gary his entire life.
When my grandparents or parents would bring me to town, we would always end up in the barber shop.
A story many in Prestonsburg have in common. But when Gary was not cutting hair, he loved playing the piano and going to church.
Probably perfect attendance at Sunday school for over 12 years. Had never missed a Sunday.
Tom Biddle is the pastor for the Prestonsburg First Baptist Church.
One of our longtime members, one of our most faithful members before he became ill.
Gary Wright died Friday after health complications.
But he was more than just a barber. It was an experience going there.
And although many went to Gary for a haircut, they left with much more.
If they needed some money for something out of his own pocket, he would just donate it and give it.
Leaving an empty seat at church, in his shop, and the hearts of many.
My best friends. They fed me all these years.
In Floyd County.
A town and family icon.
Marianne Fletcher, WYMT Mountain News.
Visitation for Gary Wright will be held at 5 p.m. Friday at the Irene Cole Memorial First Baptist Church. His funeral service is at the church Saturday at 1.
And it looks like we get a little bit of a cool down this week. You'll notice those lower 80s, but that's due, of course, to those rain chances. I'll have that full forecast coming up in just a few short minutes.
And the Floyd County school system reveals its newest teaching tool, a STEM bus. A look at opportunities it will provide.